Hello friends, welcome back and welcome to our filming area of the day. We are back to talk Infinite Loop, episode number 9, and the topic that we are going to discuss today is food being medicine and conscious eating. The reason why I personally really wanted to discuss this topic is it's something that leads our life very strongly, in that we have 3 basic needs: food, water, shelter, and food, as I just said, was the first thing. Where do I want to start with this? So I do want to start with the concept of, I guess, information. We get asked a lot, especially through traveling. We're going in and out of places, we're meeting new people, and we get asked about our diet frequently because we tend to eat on the bus. When we remade the bus, one of the main things that was important to us was to have a large kitchen, or to have a usable kitchen. And the kitchen, if you see our tour, is about half of the bus. And the reason why we wanted it that way was we learned years ago that the food that we put into our body becomes the energy that we put out into the world. And the quality of those meals, and the energy that's put into creating it really does make a difference in the energy that comes out of our bodies and how we interact with the world. And what we say is that we are conscious eaters. And what we mean by that is that we are conscious of where everything comes from that we put into our body. Whether it be vegetables, whether it be meat, we want to make sure that the energy behind that, for example with meat, we want to make sure that the energy, the life that that animal lived, if it's going to go into our bodies, was a happy, free, fulfilled life, for that is what that energy will then become for us. And so we don't eat grocery store meat or dairy. We basically eat either farm-raised food or harvested foraged food like venison when it comes to meat. Besides that, we really don't consume it. And so with the outside world being what it is, our ways of seeing food is a little bit different. And so we do tend to create 99.9% of our meals for ourselves. We're cooked from scratch, which you've seen a lot of the other videos where I do a lot of scratch cooking. And that's because it's become really imperative to us, our energy fields, and how we can be the best versions of ourselves.
To add a further note to that as well, is it changes your perspective on eating. You know, when we think of eating for sustaining one's vessel, and what has been predominantly shared is this idea of needing 3 square meals, and you need to have a certain food group in each meal, and
amount of protein.
Coming from someone who used to say a meal is not a meal without meat in it. But it's this idea of, is that really what you need, or is that just something that has been shared with you? You know, when we're eating, and we're eating to sustain, and when I say sustain, it's this idea of having enough nourishment for your vessel to be supported in whatever avenues you're pursuing. You know, what is the root of why you're eating in each moment? Is it that you truly need energy, or you truly need to have that nourishment or sustenance in order to move forward? Or is it the idea that you're bored? Or
you've gotten used to a certain texture, or yes, what's the reason behind why you're eating?
For the opportunity to create these meals from scratch, like it's done, and to really be conscious of what you're consuming also provides that awareness into why you're consuming it. What's the reasoning behind that moment that you're deciding it's time to eat. And what a beautiful opportunity, for it's pivotal in how you express yourself. When you eat to the point of uncomfortability, then that's what you're sharing, is that uncomfortability. You're moving around, your belly's so full, it's hard to do many things.
It's also when you are taking the time to prepare a meal for yourself, specifically very intentionally, you have a much deeper respect for the ingredients that go into the food, but also like what it's doing to your body. For me personally, there was a large part of my life where I was doing so many different things for other beings, institutions, whatever it may be, that I didn't have time or energy at the end of the day to even cook a meal. And we would order pizza and All-Stars multiple times a week, and we'd have quick, easy freezer meals, and like I never had the energy to cook food. And at some point I had this like epiphany light bulb moment of like, if I don't have the energy to cook food, where is that energy going? Where am I putting my time and attention? For your sustenance should be at the top of that list. And it took me spending less time gossiping with friends or getting off of my phone when I came home and no more scrolling, and all of these different things where I had to take time that was really being wasted and put it towards medicine, because that's really the root of this shift for us, was that there was a large portion of our lives where we were both very sick. Myself, I had IBS and acid reflux in my stomach. Azrael had Lyme disease, he had celiac disease. There were all these things that we were told, autoimmune conditions that we were told we were always going to have. They were genetic, or you don't get rid of them. You manage it your entire life. And I don't accept spoken word like that. I honestly, when that was told to me, it was almost like a challenge. And I started taking the time to really research really what causes these things in our bodies and the different things that we can do to heal ourselves. And a lot of it came down to gut healing, which came down to the quality of the food that we were putting into our bodies. And at this point in our lives, we don't eat processed food. If it's been created in a facility and there's more than 3 ingredients, we're not eating it. And it's hard. It's really hard when you're driving all day and you stop at a gas station to like just not get a candy bar, or to go and order pizza because it's so much easier than having to cook a meal. But then when you realize you can just eat some greens and rice and it fills your body up even more than that pizza ever did, it starts to shift how you see food. And we stopped seeing food as a treat or a reward, and we really started looking at food as medicine for our bodies. And by putting quality things into our bodies, all of those conditions, all of those autoimmune disorders are no longer present in our bodies. The quality of the food and the ability to rebuild our gut health really made all of those things go away. And now I'm not a medical expert, I'm just someone who's speaking from my own life experience. But the ingredients that are put into so much of our food, which a lot of you know, if you're watching this and you follow our channel, you probably follow along to this mindset as well. But a lot of the things that go into food isn't even food any longer. I've shared previously that cheese isn't even made with rennet any longer. It's made with a pharmaceutical enzyme. Like, you just put blanket phrases and words on things and then expect people to just, they're not going to ask questions. They love their cheese. And then all of a sudden you need cheese at every meal. Well, it started triggering in my brain that, like, I'm addicted to it. Why is it that I feel so stressed out and all I want to do is have a piece of cheese pizza? Well, it's because I'm using food as medicine in a non-conducive, in a more negative way. And so it was shifting my mindset to food being medicine that can nurture my body.
It's that deeper understanding is what we're speaking of how things work within you. For that's the greatest teacher, experience. And your experience is uniquely your own. When information is shared with you, it's your decision in how you decide to move forward with it. And rather than utilizing information that was shared as this is the only way, it's being open to other ways and really seeing what and how it contributes towards your experience. You know, recently this idea of fasting has come into trajectory. Now, I intermittently fast, or at least that's the term that they utilize.
So that's been part of our healing for years now, is we go 14 to 16 hours a day without eating, and then we only eat within a short period of time, because that's what feels good on our bodies.
And with that, it's always offered greater output of energy from it. For when I feel that emptiness, not emptiness as in the idea of needing something, but emptiness as in the idea that my digestion isn't being activated. So I can put forward that energy that once would have been activated by digestion towards pursuing things that I want to pursue. And in understanding that that's what works best for me, it furthered my desire to understand what and how fasting can contribute even further. And now there's been documentation on how even something just as long as a 3-day fast can not only reset your gut biome, your vessel starts consuming dead cells and things that are a buildup of different toxins within your system. You know, over time, just like anything, you end up acquiring an abundance of different chemicals within your vessel just from everyday existing. Pesticides and
pharmaceuticals and
all sorts of different things. Well, at that 3-day mark, you start releasing them. So now, just by taking 3 days out of a lifetime, right? What is 3 days? To reset your vessel and to step forward into something that not only contributes towards that support, but offers you that balance again to step forward into this new version of yourself, into this one that is deepening their connection of what works best for you. Now that's just one way, of course. And it's deciding what and how you want to proceed for you in particular. Do the research.
yes.
Show yourself that love.
I think the key to this is that to not take the words of others as proof for you. I learned a fact years ago that doctors take 2 nutrition courses in their entire 8 years of study to become a doctor. 2. And so when you're being told something by an industry that's really been trained in feeding pills over shifting the food that's going into our bodies, it becomes an eye-opening experience, and it really helped me to shift that power back to myself and give myself the ability because honestly, it became, again, like a challenge for me. I did not want to take that Azrael was going to be sick the rest of his life and he'd never be able to have wheat ever again. What I discovered is that he didn't have celiac disease. He had glyphosate poisoning from how the wheat is dried in our country. And so by making sourdough, which ferments the grain, and getting grained wheat from other countries, all those celiac symptoms went away. And they were severe. That was something that we dealt with for years. Like, we had to go to, if we ever went to a restaurant, you couldn't go to a restaurant that didn't have a celiac specific kitchen. Like, and so to see the extremes of both of these experiences, it really helped to empower myself to trust the information that I was finding and to do further research and to really like listen to other people's experiences. For the best information that you can find is the information that someone has lived. Not what you read in a book, not what someone tells you from what they've been told, but from what someone's actual experience is, which is what I really hope this conversation is, and why I really wanted to speak about it, is I wanted to share our personal experience as a moment of empowerment for you to do your own research, to figure out these things for yourself, because what works for us and for me doesn't work for everyone else. Fasting for Azrael hasn't been something that I've been able to find comfort in or been able to really do. And it's worked for him, but it doesn't necessarily work for me. But yet intermittent fasting works wonders for me. I find that when I eat breakfast in the morning, my stomach, I get a lot more tired, my stomach kind of gurgles a little bit more, and so I only eat between the hours of like 2 and 8 every day.
The key to this is the understanding of creating a healthy environment rather than trying to treat the symptom. The only symptom is this idea that you're continuing to feed into it. Know yourself. Understand how you operate and give yourself that opportunity to do so. And just because it is one way doesn't mean it always has to be.
There are literally infinite possibilities, and to say like, I have this and this is what it will always be, if you keep telling yourself that, you keep saying, I have IBS and I'll never be able to eat these things, or I'll never be able to do this, I'm always going to poop like this, well, that's what's going to happen. That's what you're telling yourself that. And to be able to look at the world from a different set of eyes is a beautiful way to be, and to give that power back to yourself is so important. It's so life-altering in so many different ways, or at least it has been for us.
Yes. Remember what you're capable of, and that is anything and everything.
Yes. And to listen to yourself. Your body knows. Your body will tell you what feels good and what doesn't feel good. And that's really the whole point of this conversation, and looking at food as medicine and us eating consciously, is that like we really just listen to our bodies and we consume what feels good and we don't eat things that don't feel good. And by being able to do that, we feel like new people sometimes. Like the energy that we're able to put into this world is directly represented in the food and the energy that we put into our bodies.
And also know that every step is a step in the direction. It's not something that you snap your fingers and all of a sudden it's immediate.
Yeah.
It's every step you take into nurturing yourself and expressing love to yourself that's going to increase your capacity, not only at what you're capable of, but also in that understanding of what works best for you.
Yeah, this has been 10 years of learning for us that we're finally here speaking about it. It's been a long road, and one that will constantly be changing.
And enjoy the journey.
Yes.
For this is the fun. We're always growing and learning. Share your perspective, share your wisdom,
Yes.
and share your light.
Always. Thank you for hanging out with us. We hope this inspired you to look a little bit deeper into the workings of your body. And if you have your own stories of healing through food, please share them with us. We love to share our experience with others and hear about others' experiences. And I know it was a little rainy today. We thank you for hanging out during this new setting, and we will see you next time.
I love you all. Journey well.